Victor Martinez was no stranger to violence. By 17, he'd survived stabbings, earned his street name in a brutal gang initiation, and stared down enemies without blinking. But nothing prepared him for what came next. The night he was ambushed and shot in the head, time didn't just slow, it shattered. Thrown into a terrifying life review and dragged through unspeakable darkness, Victor faced a force far greater than any gang. What he saw in death would change everything, if he survived. Hold on a minute. If you have not subscribed to our channel, do well to subscribe, like, comment, and share videos of this channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell.
My name is Victor Martinez. I'm 33 years old, and I grew up in a small neighborhood just outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. From the outside, our home looked like any other on the block. Old bricks, dusty porch, worn-out windows. But inside, it was a battlefield. I was just 5 years old the first time I saw my father hit my mother. The sound of her scream still rings in my head sometimes. He was always angry, always drinking, and when he drank, it got worse. My mum tried to shield me, but she was scared too. There were nights I would hide in the closet with my hands over my ears, praying someone would come help us, but no one ever did. The beatings weren't the only thing that messed me up. When I was about 7, one of my older cousins started touching me. He told me not to say anything or I'd be the one who got in trouble. I didn't even understand what was happening, but I knew it made me feel dirty and ashamed. It went on for a long time. Every time I saw him at family gatherings, I'd freeze up inside. My voice just disappeared around him. No one noticed. No one asked. At school, I kept quiet. I didn't talk much, didn't make friends. I didn't trust anyone. I felt like something was broken in me that couldn't be fixed. I used to sit in the back of the class, head down, hoping to disappear. Teachers called me shy, but the truth was, I felt completely alone, like I was floating outside of everything, watching life go on without me. All I ever really wanted was to feel safe, to feel like I belonged somewhere. I'd watch other kids laugh and hang out with their families after school, and I'd wonder what that felt like, just to be seen, to be loved. But in my world, love meant pain, and safety didn't exist. So even at a young age, I had this emptiness in me, a hole I didn't know how to fill. I didn't know it at the time, but that deep hunger to belong, to be wanted, was going to shape every choice I made later in life. It was like a seed planted in broken ground, and nothing good ever grew from it. Not then. That's how my story began. In silence, in pain, in the shadows. I was around 12 when I first started hanging around the neighborhood kids. Most of them were just regular guys trying to have fun, playing ball in the street, talking trash, stealing snacks from the corner store. But there was a group of older guys who always stood out. They were different. They had tattoos up their arms, big chains, shaved heads, and this way of walking like they owned everything. People moved out of their way without them even saying a word. They didn't look scared of anything. And for a kid like me, who had always felt weak and invisible, that kind of power looked like everything I'd ever wanted. I remember one Friday night, I was standing on the corner near the liquor store when one of them nodded at me. Just a nod, nothing more. But man, that little gesture hit me like a bolt of lightning. I didn't care what they were about. I just wanted to be seen like that. I wanted that respect. That same night, I followed them to a backyard party a few blocks over. Loud music, drinks getting passed around, girls laughing. The air was thick with weed and smoke, and everyone acted like they had no worries in the world. Dre threw me a beer, and I didn't hesitate. I chugged it fast, even though it burned going down. They all laughed and slapped me on the back, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was part of something. That night changed everything for me. It wasn't just about the partying or the girls. It was about the feeling. These guys didn't care about my messed up home or what I'd been through. They didn't look at me like I was broken. To them, I was just one of the crew, and that meant everything. I made a decision that night, without even realizing it. I was going to chase their respect, no matter what it took. I started hanging out more, doing small things for them, watching, learning, waiting for my turn to be accepted fully. In a world where I felt like I had nothing, they gave me something. Brotherhood, a reason to matter. I didn't see it then, but I was trading my soul for belonging, one night at a time. It happened behind the liquor store on 6th Street. That night felt like a blur, part fear, part excitement. The older guys had been watching me for weeks. I guess I passed some unspoken test. One of them, a dude named Shadow, told me it was time. "You ready, Vic?" he asked, eyes cold but not unkind. I nodded, even though my stomach twisted in knots. They led me to this back alley with busted concrete and trash cans overflowing with beer bottles. A flickering streetlight buzzed above us. That's when I realized what getting jumped in really meant. It wasn't a handshake or a secret password. It was war. 12 of them stepped forward, forming a tight circle. No one said a word. Then one of them barked, "Go," and it was on. Fists flew. Boots slammed into my ribs. I could hear someone laughing. My ears rang as my head bounced off the pavement. Blood filled my mouth. My vision blurred, but something in me refused to cry out. I curled in, then lashed out. Pure instinct. My heart pounded like a drum. The cold night air burned my lungs. Then suddenly, just as quick as it started, it stopped. I was lying on the ground, gasping, my face busted up and arms trembling. Shadow reached down and pulled me up. He wrapped me in a hug so tight I could barely breathe. "Welcome to the family," he said, grinning. Everyone clapped me on the back. Someone handed me a beer. Another lit a blunt. I was one of them now, and for the first time in my life, I felt something strange, euphoria. Not just from adrenaline, but from belonging. It didn't matter that my eye was swollen shut, or that I could barely stand. What mattered was that they accepted me. I was no longer invisible. I had a place. Back then, I didn't see the trap. I didn't realize that what I thought was freedom was really a cage. All I knew was that I finally felt seen, and for a kid like me, that was everything. After I jumped in, everything moved fast. It was like I got handed a script, and didn't even have to think anymore. I just followed the lines. Car thefts came first. We'd cruise around in stolen Hondas like they were trophies, breaking windows, hot wiring engines. It became routine. I didn't feel nervous. I felt powerful, invisible, like nothing could touch me now that I had a crew behind me. Then came the robberies. Liquor stores, corner shops, even people on the street. We'd slide up, masked with quick hands and loaded threats. My heart used to race, but that stopped after a while. You can only feel so much fear before it dies inside you. That's what was happening. I was going numb. The first time I held a gun, it felt heavier than I expected. Cold, alive in a strange way. I told myself it was just for show, that I wouldn't use it. But one night, that changed. We were chasing down some guys from a rival set. One of them ran and turned on us fast. I didn't even think. My finger squeezed. I saw him drop. Time froze for a second. His body hit the pavement. There was this ringing in my ears, and then silence, and then the noise came back. Shouting, footsteps, tires screeching. We took off. My boys slapped my back, called me solid. "Vic ain't scared," they said. But something inside me had cracked. I didn't feel anything. Not guilt, not pride, just emptiness, the kind that sinks deep and stays. Then things got personal. One morning, I stepped out of my dad's house and saw the numbers sprayed across our garage door. 187, murder, red letters, dripping down the white paint like blood. A message, a threat. I remember my dad standing behind me in the doorway, silent. His face said it all. He knew what I was involved in, and now it was on our doorstep. That broke something in me. I might have grown up scared of him, angry at him, but he was still my blood. I made a vow that day. They wanted war? I'd bring it. I promised myself I'd make them pay for bringing my family into it. My heart was cold by then, but now it burned with rage. Respect wasn't earned with kindness out here. It came through fear, through violence, and I was ready to do whatever it took to get it. I was 17 when they sent me to Chino. I still remember the sound of the gate slamming shut behind me. It was like a sentence, not just the end of freedom, but the start of something darker. The walls smelled of sweat and steel, and the faces around me were hard, watching, measuring. I knew the rules already. Show weakness, and you're done. They put me in a cell with a guy twice my size, tatted up, wild eyes, always mumbling to himself. I kept my guard up and didn't sleep much that first night. Around 2 a.m. I heard him get up. I sat up too, and before I could even think, he came at me with something in his hand, maybe a sharpened toothbrush, I don't know. We fought. It was fast, dirty and brutal. I got sliced on my arm, but I got to him first, grabbed the shank and drove it into his side, over and over, until the guards came rushing in. Blood everywhere, him screaming, me breathing like a beast. They dragged me to the hole solitary, just a dark box with nothing but a toilet, a bunk and my thoughts. But I wasn't broken. I sat there, arms crossed, still shaking from the adrenaline. And that's when I made a vow. Not to get out, not to change. I won't die here, I whispered to myself. I'll rule here. That was my baptism, my welcome to the real system. After that, people looked at me differently. I wasn't just some scared kid anymore. I had stripes. It didn't take long for the word to spread. The Serenos took notice. They started calling me Little Ghost because of how I moved. Silent, fast and deadly when needed. I started running errands for them, carrying messages, enforcing discipline, earning my bones. I watched how the shot callers moved. Calm, controlled, but everyone knew not to cross them. I wanted that. Power, respect, fear. The older guys started talking to me more, dropping hints about the big leagues, the Mexican mafia. Just keep doing what you're doing, they'd say. You're on the right path, and I was. Every fight, every job, every nod of approval brought me closer. I didn't care about the time I was serving. I didn't think about getting out. That world felt like a memory already. This was my new world. This was home now, and I was climbing the ladder, one bloody rung at a time. In 1997, they let me out of Soledad. I walked through those gates with a duffel bag full of state-issued clothes and a heart full of fire. I wasn't the same kid who went in. I had earned my place, proved myself, and my name carried weight now. But no matter how hard I tried to act cool, stepping into the free world again felt weird, like I'd landed on a planet that had moved on without me. The sun felt too bright. The air smelled clean in a way I hadn't known in years. But even freedom didn't feel like freedom. My mind was still locked up, still on edge, still waiting for something to go wrong. I took the bus back to my neighborhood. Same streets, same faces, same tension in the air. The homeboys were right there waiting for me, arms open, cold beers and fresh ink. They slapped my back, calling me Big Ghost now. They had plans. There was work to be done, territory to protect, debts to collect. Part of me was ready. It felt like slipping back into a jacket that still fit. But then something unexpected happened. A couple of girls I used to know rolled up in a beat-up Honda. "Victor," they yelled. "We're heading to a party down in Pico. Come through." The homies laughed. "Don't waste your time, bro. We got real business tonight." I looked from one group to the other, brothers who bled with me, and a couple of girls just looking for a good time. It doesn't sound like much now, but right then, it felt like a fork in the road. Stay in the life I'd built in blood and fear, or step out for just one night, maybe feel human again. I nodded to the girls. "Hold up," I said. I grabbed my bag, dapped up the homies and told them I'd catch them later. "You sure?" one of them asked, eyebrows raised. I hesitated. "Yeah, I'll be back," but I wasn't sure I would. As we drove off, music blasting, laughter in the air, I stared out the window. I was free, yeah, but deep down I knew I was still caged inside. It was just past midnight, and the party was dying down. People were stumbling out, laughing, smoking, heading to their cars. I was sitting in the front seat of that same beat-up Honda, with the girl who brought me, just chilling, not thinking too hard about anything. My head was a little hazy, the music low, the windows halfway down. Then something felt off. The air shifted. I remember hearing a rustle in the bushes near the side of the house, like someone was moving too slowly, too carefully. The girl in the passenger seat was flipping through her phone, but I was staring dead ahead. I couldn't explain it, but my stomach dropped. That deep animal part of me, the one prison had sharpened, was screaming, "Danger!" The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floorboard. She reached down to grab it, and that's when I saw him. Out of the shadows stepped a figure. Hoodie pulled low, arm raised. I barely had time to register the shape of the gun before pop. Pop. 2 flashes, 2 explosions. The first shot hit me square in the head. It felt like getting hit by a baseball bat dipped in fire. Everything exploded in white, then black, but I didn't pass out. I was still awake. A strange, heavy silence followed. The second shot missed my face by an inch and tore through the dashboard. The smell of burning fabric and metal filled the car. I couldn't move. I wanted to scream, to fight, to crawl, but my body wouldn't respond. I was frozen. I felt warm liquid running down my cheek and into my mouth. Blood, a lot of it. The girl was screaming, not words, just raw, high-pitched terror. She threw the car into reverse, tires screeching, backing into a fence. I was slumped sideways, vision blurring, one eye going dark. Everything felt far away, like I was watching from underwater. There was no pain, just pressure, a pounding inside my head like a drum. I couldn't speak, couldn't lift my arms. I remember thinking, this is it, I'm dying. But more than that, I felt confusion. How did I end up here? Why did I go to that party? Why had I survived prison just to get gunned down in some random driveway? Then it hit me. I wasn't afraid. Not yet. Not really, because what came next would make this moment feel like the calm before the storm. As I lay there slumped over, half-conscious, I felt myself drifting. My eyes were still open, but they didn't see the car anymore. I didn't hear the girl crying or the chaos around me. Instead, I felt like I had been yanked out of my body, pulled into a place that didn't exist in this world. Suddenly, everything was silent, but not empty. It was like being in a massive theater with no walls, and then like a screen turning on, it began. I started to see scenes from my life clearer than memory, brighter than any dream. But these weren't just moments. Each one came with a flood of emotion, as if I was inside the moment again, feeling what I felt, but also what others felt. I saw my mum, crying in the kitchen when I was 10, her hand covering a black eye. I ran outside and slammed the door. I never looked back that night, but now I was inside her pain. I could feel the ache in her chest, the helplessness in her soul. I felt her love for me too, even through her tears. Next came my dad. He was pacing in the garage, hands dirty from work, holding the report card I'd shoved in his face like I didn't care. I heard him say to himself, "Where did I go wrong with him?" I never knew he said that, never cared, but now I felt his disappointment like a weight on my chest. I saw myself stealing a car at 14, laughing with the homies, but now I didn't feel the thrill. I felt the fear of the car owner, the panic when she saw it gone. I felt her looking for it, wondering if her baby's car seat was still in the back. I had never even thought about that. Every crime, every lie, every betrayal, I was made to feel it all, and it wasn't judgment from some outside force. No one was yelling at me. I was judging myself. For the first time, I saw what my choices really did. The trail of pain I left behind wasn't just a story. It was real, and I had to face it all. Then it hit me, like a whisper that filled the whole space. You're dying. That truth landed heavy. I wasn't coming back from this. I wasn't going to walk away, patch it up and laugh about it later. This was the end, and I knew deep down I wasn't ready. Not even close. One moment I heard beeping, faint, steady like a heart monitor far away. Then it was gone. Everything went black. Not just black like closing your eyes, but a darkness that had weight, like it was pressing in on me from every direction. I felt like I was floating, but also like I was falling. I couldn't see anything, but I knew I was moving fast through something I couldn't control. There were no walls, but I kept brushing against something, like passing through long corridors that never ended. The deeper I went, the colder it got. The air felt thick, heavy, and I wasn't alone. There was a presence, something there. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it pushing me hard, shoving me deeper. It wasn't a person. It wasn't even human. It had power. Cold, silent, dominating power. I couldn't resist. I was completely at its mercy. And then came the voices. They didn't sound close at first. It was like hearing someone scream across a canyon, desperate, broken cries, echoing through the dark. "Help me, please, don't leave me here." And then one voice hit me like a punch in the chest. It was familiar. I couldn't place it at first. But then it came again, clearer this time, raw, panicked, begging. It was a friend, a homeboy I hadn't thought about in years. He'd died in a stabbing, left bleeding in an alleyway. I remembered brushing it off when it happened, just another street loss. But now he was screaming for help, and I couldn't help him. I couldn't even move. That's when the fear became terror. I'd been in fights. I'd faced guns, knives, prison riots. I'd stood toe-to-toe with men who wanted me dead. But this was different. This wasn't fear for my body. This was fear for my soul. It was like everything inside me, every bit of strength, courage, pride, was being stripped away. I wasn't tough here. I wasn't respected. I was just naked, exposed to something far worse than death. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. My mouth didn't work. My thoughts were racing, but they had nowhere to go. The darkness swallowed them. I didn't know what hell was. I used to laugh at the idea. I thought it was just some church scare tactic. But now I was in it, or at least heading straight for it. And no one, no gang, no homie, no rep was coming to save me. My eyes snapped open like I'd been yanked out of a nightmare. There was a blinding light above me, white, sterile. I couldn't breathe. There was something down my throat. I started gagging, choking, my body jerking on its own. I tried to move, but everything felt strapped down. Panic hit hard. Then I felt the cold. Not just a chill, but a deep, bone-cutting cold that had me shaking uncontrollably. My teeth were chattering so hard I thought they'd crack. They'd piled warm blankets on me, but it wasn't working. I was freezing from the inside out. Voices rushed around me. Blurred faces moved in and out of my view. Then came uniforms, officers, at least 4 of them. I remember thinking, why are the cops here? One of them, an older guy with grey in his beard, grabbed my hand tightly. He leaned in close. "Don't fall asleep, you hear me? Stay with us. Don't close your eyes." I wanted to tell him I was trying. I really was, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. Everything was a battle. Just to breathe. Just to stay awake. That's when the fear came rushing back. Not from the bullet, not from the hospital, but from where I'd just been. I remembered the darkness, the screams. That force pulled me down, and the thought slammed into me. If I close my eyes again, I'm going back there. I didn't want to go back. I didn't care about street cred anymore. I didn't care about respect, money, or any of it. I was terrified, not of dying, of what came after. And for the first time in my life I prayed. I didn't know how. I didn't even know what to say. I just remember thinking, God, if you're real, help me. Please, I don't want to go back there. There was no fancy prayer, no tears, just desperation. A broken man, shot and shaking on a hospital bed, reaching for something, someone he'd never believed in before. And right then I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope, just a flicker. But it was enough to make me fight to stay awake, to hold on. When they finally discharged me from the hospital, I was limping, half numb, and haunted by what I'd seen. My head was stitched, my body weak, but I was alive, somehow. My dad was waiting outside. The moment he saw me, he dropped to his knees on the pavement and started crying. I'd never seen him cry like that, not even when my brother died. He wrapped his arms around me and said, "Victor, please, please, son. This is it. God gave you another chance. Come home, be with us. It's either us or that gang. You can't have both." I didn't know what to say. For a second, just a second, his words got through. I wanted to say yes, to go home, to start over. But then something inside me twisted. I remembered how everyone had turned their backs on me. The rejection, the looks, the shame, that old rage came rushing back. I stepped back and looked him in the eye. "I can't," I said, and I walked away. I went straight back to the neighborhood and lit everything on fire, figuratively and almost literally. I was angry, reckless, dead inside. I picked fights for no reason, beat a guy half to death over a stair, put a gun to someone's head just to feel power again. People started pulling away, even the ones I considered family. The streets weren't the same. The warmth was gone. I was spiraling, and I knew it. And then, just like before, I got caught up again. New charges, same cycle, jail, but this time something was different. I wasn't just caged on the outside, I was trapped on the inside too. And the darkness I saw before, it was starting to feel familiar. It was set to go down the next day. Word had come through. A hit. I'd earned my stripes, and this was the kind of job that got you noticed, locked in with the big names. No backing out. It was blood in, blood out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I wasn't scared, just wired, focused. I knew what had to be done. Then, out of nowhere, my cell door popped open. Loud metal clank. The guard walked up with a clipboard. "Martinez," he said, "you're getting released." I stared at him. What? He didn't look up. No charges stuck, no hold. Someone messed up in the system. "You're getting out. You're on cop continuance of parole." I stood there, stunned. This has to be a mistake. They don't just let you go, not the night before a job like that, not when you're tied in with serious people. I got my change-outs, still expecting someone to come grab me. No one did. They walked me to the gate. I kept waiting for it to reverse, for someone to say, "Wrong Martinez," or "Hold up, sit tight." But it didn't happen. Outside it was quiet. I couldn't tell if I was lucky or marked. At the parole office, my regular officer wasn't in. Some new guy met me instead. He looked at my file, then at me. "You ever get tired of this?" I said nothing. He slid a paper across the desk. "This is a number for a Christian men's home. If you want out, really out, this is it." I laughed. "A Christian home? Me? Man, you don't know who I am," I told him, stuffing the paper in my pocket. He smiled. "Maybe not, but I know who you could be." I left, unsure. Do I run or do I call?